Dear friends, welcome to this week's edition of the Inspired Parsha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read through Parshat Tisah. And like every Parsha in the Torah, there's so many beautiful, rich Torah ideas, especially in the Hasidic world. But I just want to focus on one pasuk, one verse. This is in Shemos, Exodus chapter 34, verse 29. It says, "Vayhi beredes Moshe." It came to pass when Moshe came down, Mehar Sinai, from Har Sinai, Ushnei luchos ha'edus, biad Moshe, Biyad Moshe in the hands of Moshe Beredisi, when he came down Minahar from the mountain, Moshe lo yada, Moshe did not know, ki karan or panav v'dabra ito, that the skin of his face shined, radiated from talking to God. What an interesting verse. This is one of the most beautiful verses in the Torah that, Moshe had literally a physical, beautiful radiance that came after he spoke to God at Mount Sinai. But it says, the verse says he didn't even know it. Why? What's the reason for this? Why didn't he know it? Why is the Torah emphasizing that he didn't even know it? So the Alter Rebbe says something beautiful. He says, the Alter Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya, first Lubavitcher Rebbe, says something beautiful. He says that when it comes to spiritual greatness is kind of the opposite of physical or materialistic greatness. We know in the physical world, when a person becomes great, increasing a lot of wealth, increasing a lot of fame, increasing a lot of power, they become so acutely aware of it, even hyper aware of it. Everything becomes about themselves, of course, right? Their name is on buildings and they're famous and they have so much money and it's extravagant and they're flaunting it and they're just becoming more and more pumped up that this is who I am, this is how great I am. Everything is about themselves, and because of that becomes almost all that they're aware of, is how much they've accumulated. What happens when it comes to spiritual greatness? Spiritual greatness is the opposite. Spiritual greatness is, the greater a person becomes spiritually, the less he or she is aware of it, because it's not anymore a focus on oneself. It's a focus on the greater picture, a greater purpose, a greater meaning in life. It's tapping into one's soul, of course, and the soul is the part of ourselves that we're not often aware of because it's not physical, it's not tangible, but it's so much more real. And the person very often is not even aware of it. This is spiritual greatness. Now, of course, when I talked about materialistic, having money and having success, that isn't always a bad thing at all, God forbid. But a person is definitely always aware of their own materialistic success and fame and power and things like that. Spiritual greatness is so much more subtle. It's so much more hidden. The person very often isn't even aware of it because the focus isn't anymore on themselves. It's on the greater picture. This is actually the same Parsha where Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, famously said, Mecheni la misifracha, erase me from your book. The Jewish people had just committed the terrible sin of the golden calf. And Moshe said, if you're gonna punish the Jewish people so terribly, erase me from your book. I don't care. This is not about me. This is not about my fame. It's not about having my name on a plaque on a building somewhere. This is about the Jewish people. This is about a much greater purpose. This has nothing to do with me. That's spiritual greatness. I remember actually years ago in yeshiva, a friend of mine who had come back from being in yeshiva in a little while, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and he seemed like a different person. He wasn't into a lot of the same things he used to be into. He was now into new things. He was talking differently. He was behaving a little bit differently. And I said something to him, and I said, you realize you're not the same person you were a couple years ago. And he's like, really? I didn't even really notice. Wow. Okay, I guess you're right. When it comes to spiritual greatness, it's hidden. And it's not anymore about the person themselves. It's about the greater purpose in the world. I always like to leave with a bracha, a blessing. Reach spiritual greatness. Strive for spiritual greatness. And you'll see that you'll have grown without you even being aware of it. Because at that point, it's not anymore about yourself. It's about the greater picture, the greater purpose that you're now going to have. I want to wish everyone here a wonderful Shabbos Kodesh. Thank you so much for listening.